Welcome to Aquatic Plants 101. Here are 5 easy ways to understand aquatic plants. I was new to aquatic plants, everybody is at one point, so I came up with 5 really easy ways to understand the mystery of aquatic plants a little bit better. And if you like this, don't forget, and if you're new, don't forget to subscribe because there will be a part 2. All right, let's get started. 5 ways understanding your aquatic plants better. I'm going to pose these as questions. Number 1, can you really plant aquatic plants in sand? Yes, you can. There are a number of different substrates you can use, one of which is sand. In the aquatic realm, in any kind of an aquarium, the stuff at the bottom that you put in there and you can plant stuff in is called substrate. You can have several different substrates. My favorite, especially with nano tanks, because nano tanks are small, I like the small scale of sand. Sand can come in a variety of different sizes and textures, colors, little granule sizes. I prefer to get my sand at an aquatic store, Petco, PetSmart, any online retailer meant to carry aquatic supplies will have a variety of different sands in different colors and so many different choices, but it's meant to go in an aquarium, so it will be very clean. It won't add a whole lot of debris in your tank. It'll be easy to maintain right off the bat. The other choice is gravel. It's going to be a little bit larger. You can even use a combo of both sand and gravel. Neither of these have any nutrients in them. We'll get to that probably in part 2. Your other choice is soil. You can use aquatic soils. It's got a definitely different texture and it's very light and buoyant, but it does have nutrients built into it. It's meant for aquatic plants. Then you can actually use soil. Yes, real garden soil. There are different videos out there. I don't cover it. I myself have never done a dirted tank, and that's what it's called. When you use actual soil, you cover it with another substrate like sand to keep it compacted down underneath this layer. Otherwise, it's going to make your tank really dirty looking, as mud would, but it is a possibility. Number 2, how do you actually plant aquatic plants? There are actually 3 different ways. If you understand aquatic plants, that is, you either plant them, attach them, or float them. So knowing which type you do for which kind of plant that you have, you'll understand aquatic plants better. You're either going to plant some of them, the roots, into the substrate, something like crypts. Crypts are a very popular and great beginner aquatic plant. I love crypts. You plant the roots into the substrate and that's how they grow and are happy. The second way is you attach them. Another one of my favorite plants, actually my favorite aquatic plant, is Anubias, and anything like that. Anubias, they're called epiphytes. Anubias, Buse, a number of Bulbitis. You actually attach the rhizome, the roots stay above the substrate. The roots actually can go into the substrate, but that actual rhizome part of the plant needs to stay above the substrate, and you can either tie them onto driftwood or rocks. You can use super glue, believe it or not. That's aquarium and fish safe, and that's how you plant them into your aquarium. The third way, and this is a super easy way if you are new to aquatic plants, if you're just a little scared to jump right in, start with floating plants. They can actually be the ones that float on the top. Something like Salvinia or Frogbit floats on the top. These are really great plants. You need to just watch them because they do tend to grow very, very fast, multiply. And another one of my favorite floating plants is hornwort. It's also a really fast grower, which will help use up extra nutrients in your aquarium. It can be a really great friend for you, but it also lends a lot of cover and safety for your fish, especially if you have fry, little baby fish trying to survive in that aquarium of yours. It gives them a lot of cozy hiding spots. Number 3, you should definitely know the difference between an easy and an intermediate and an advanced aquatic plant. Why? This can keep you from being successful or not successful in your aquatic plant journey. Whenever you buy an aquatic plant, the packaging will tell you if it's easy, medium, or advanced, and that tells you the equipment, basically, that you will need. You'll also need a little extra skills in making sure that it's happy. And your easy plants, if you're a beginner, they're definitely the ones that you want to stick with. That means you're only going to need a certain amount of light, and you will require no CO2. When you get up towards the advanced plants and even intermediate, CO2 is needed for these plants to be successful. And then also higher light, which means you're going to need to actually seek out specific lights that are high enough that are required to keep these plants happy. Way number 4, understanding your plants better. You need to know how much light your aquatic plants need. There's a variety of light requirements depending on the type of aquatic plant that you choose. Generally, beginning plants that are really great for beginners, are known as easy, and they require very little light, either low light or medium light, and those types of lights are usually found on in your basic aquarium kit. Any kind of a 5 or 10 or 20 gallon kit that comes with its own light generally has a low to medium light that's included on it and will be great at growing those low light plants. Other plants that you may have will require medium or high light, and those are typically, especially the highlight plants, are typically known as advanced plants. Something like your Anubias, Buse, Crypts, all the beginner plants that I've already alluded to, really like low light. They're very easy to maintain in any kind of a kit tank light that you may get, anything off of Amazon. Even tanks that have little lights on a nano tank are usually just great for growing those low light plants. Keep in mind, if they are a low light plant, typically they will also be a slow grower, so don't look for massive amounts of growth, size, either in size or plants actually multiplying, which we'll get in part 2, propagating plants. But low light plants are my favorite because I also consider them just very easy to maintain in your aquarium. A lot of your stem plants and advanced plants will require high light, and then you'll have to take more care in picking out the appropriate light for your plants. And then also that typically goes with including CO2. I don't run CO2 in any of my tanks. It's just not something that I do currently, but a lot of your advanced aquascapers do run high light and run CO2, and then they do really well with stem plants that not only grow really fast but also have beautiful color. And a lot of your plants in the aquarium world that have extra color, like the reds, typically, not always, but typically will require higher light to bring out that beautiful color. Number 5, you should definitely understand the difference between immersed and submersed plants. If you've ever heard that verbiage, here's the difference. Aquatic plants are amazing in yet another way, and that is they can grow either immersed and or submersed. Now, a lot of these aquatic plants that you find in the store in any kind of a container have been grown by the growers in an immersed state. And that means that everything other than the roots are actually grown outside of water. So once you transition them to underwater, they basically change form. Their leaves will probably become smaller, larger. They just become different, and they also go through kind of like growing pains. Crypts are notorious for melting. That means the leaves really do kind of melt. They look like, the plant kind of looks like it's dying. Don't be alarmed. It actually will regenerate leaves underwater in an underwater sort of form. And then the submersed ones, these are plants that only grow underwater. They don't actually grow out of the water. Something like Vallisneria, that only grows submersed. So that would stay completely under the water. But there are so many great plants that will grow submersed, and they also grow immersed depending on where you place them. Anubias, Buse, Bacopa, these are just a few of really awesome plants that can grow out not only underwater, but they'll also grow out of the water. So they can be placed in paludariums, close to the water surface, in the bottom of the aquarium, all different sorts of options that you have there, and it can add a lot of cool interest and a totally different aquascape to your repertoire. So I hope these 5 ways in understanding aquatic plants help you out, and keep in mind, if you're not subscribed, feel free to subscribe, and then you'll catch part 2 for 5 more ways you can understand aquatic plants better. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.